We're going to start with one of these wooden rounds, and I also picked up a little piece of styrofoam. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stems and pull all of these branches all the way up to the surface. After we do that, we're going to take our wire snips and we're going to cut about 1/2 inch worth of stem. Since this wooden block can be used for any season and any holiday, I actually don't want to secure anything to this, so we're going to just rest our styrofoam block right on the surface, and then we can begin taking our branches and poking them in. No hot glue is required for this project. Of course, if you feel like using hot glue, by all means. Now it's time for some fall foliage. I love the creams and it matches our kitchen beautifully, so I'm going to use some of these. We're going to just snip these down. Now we're going to take some of these and poke them right in, just as we did with the greenery. Now that we've worked in some of our fall foliage and our eucalyptus, it is time for our finishing touch, which is going to be a candle. So I'm going to just place that on top, and we still can see a little bit of foam. So I did save a few extra pieces that we can just work in and cover up any of the foam. And just taking the lid off of this candle smells great. So I'm really excited to light this and have something beautiful. So of course, you want to make sure, I do want to mention that you're not leaving this candle lit unattended, and you can also be using artificial candles. That way you're not going to burn your house down. Let's stand back and give you the full reveal. And here's how it looks, you guys, and I absolutely love it in my kitchen. All we used was a wooden plank with the bark edge, a little brick of styrofoam, and some greenery. Absolutely love how it looks, and it definitely spruced up a candle.
You want to pick up 2 bowls. Make sure they are ceramic or glass and that they are heat proof. I took them home and I'm going to give them a coat of spray paint. They have kind of this matte black finish, but I want to add some texture to make them look like stone. Once the paint is dry, these bowls have a really nice textured look. I'm just going to use some really strong glue to adhere them together. In the top bowl, I am going to add 3 wicks. You can pick up a pack of these on Amazon. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to secure them to the bottom. Then I'm going to grab 2 wooden skewers and wrap the wick around the skewers. This is just going to hold everything in place when I pour the hot wax in. A great way to make your own candles is to reuse existing candle wax. I have a couple of these Dollar Tree tall pillar candles, and I'm going to place them in some boiling water. Now make sure you're wearing gloves. These can get really hot, and I'm just going to gently boil this until all the wax is melted. Once it's completely melted, I'm going to pour the wax from all the candles into a metal container with a handle. I'm opting to add a little essential oil for some scent here, but you don't have to do that. You can skip that part. And now we're just going to pour that melted wax into the candle that we created with the salad bowls. Then you're going to want to walk away for about 24 hours. When it is completely set, you can trim the wicks down and use your candle. I hope this inspired you to grab a ceramic salad bowl from Walmart and make your own candle.
I grabbed a scrap 4x4 from my wood pile and gave it a rough sand on all sides and edges with 80 grit sandpaper followed by 120 grit sandpaper. I divided the wood into thirds and drew 2 lines down the top. I evenly spaced out 18 marks alternating on either side so the marks were staggered. I used a 3/4 inch drill bit to drill holes in each mark. In order to make sure the depth was the same, I put painter's tape on the drill bit to know how far to drill for each hole. I placed some 120 grit sandpaper around a carpenter's pencil and sanded the edges of the holes. This worked really well. Next, I cleaned it with a tack rag and then applied pre-stain conditioner and let it sit for 30 minutes. I applied the pre-stain with a brush and rubbed the excess off with a clean rag. I used a lone sock to apply a dark brown stain of a color I had pre-mixed. While that was drying, I grabbed some white tapered candles and let them soak in very warm water, but not boiling. After 5 to 10 minutes, I used a rolling pin to roll out the middle, and then I gently twisted the candle. If the candle does not roll smooth as shown in the video, then it needs to sit in the water longer. I repeated this 18 times, and now I have the most beautiful candle holder and unique candles for all occasions.
All right, so I'm going to be starting this project with a couple of things. I have a cylinder vase from the Dollar Tree, and then this is actually a substitute for an item that I was trying to also find at Dollar Tree, but I could not find. The bolster for pool noodles is what I was looking for, but I couldn't find it. I was able to find this epoxy pen holder on Amazon, so I'll make sure to link it so you can get it yourself if you really like the look of this. But I really felt like it was a decent substitute for the project that I'm gonna be doing. Okay, so I'm gonna take my paint marker and I'm gonna basically just trace so I have a little bit of a guide. It doesn't need to be a really bold guide, it just needs to be around basically the circumference of the vase. And I'm gonna be taking an X-Acto blade. And just be careful, don't try and put your fingers in front of your line of cutting. We don't want to have to slice any fingers. And I'm going to keep following this, and I'm going to try and go a little deeper every time. And essentially we're just going to be going as far down to the bottom of this as possible so that our vase can fit inside of it. All right, so now that I have hollowed out the center of my foam circle, I'm going to be using Mod Podge to cover the foam because I'm going to be painting this, but I want to make sure that the paint doesn't necessarily sink in to the foam. So to create a barrier and something that'll dry relatively quickly, Mod Podge or like Elmer's glue or just craft glue, whatever you have access to in your craft supply would work. Just something that will dry quickly, but also will create that barrier so it just makes the painting step a lot easier. Okay, so now this is all dry. This is all like Mod Podge. I added a little bit of a tacky glue as well. So it's all dry, and we are going to use a Dixie Belle paint in the color Savannah Mist. It's kind of a light bluish color, so we are going to shake it up, and we are going to use a sponge brush. We are going to paint. I'm going to paint this whole thing this color. And why I think using a glue is a good way to start is because it really does kind of create a surface that will make painting a little bit easier. Also, it won't like suck up all the paint. All right, now that this has been completely painted, I'm going to be putting my vase into it. I'm gonna make sure it is all the way on. All right, so let's go see it staged in my home with a candle in it. And here is the finished product. These two foam boosters really have transformed into chic and modern decor. I'm really happy with the end result. I hope you feel inspired to try this project at home. Thank you so much for watching Home Talk, and I will see you in the next one.